The mainstream media, they have tried to convince us that Paige Bueckers is a draw. Me personally, I think she's a star, but I'm not exactly convinced that she is a...
Ever wondered why the media is hyping Paige Bueckers over Caitlin Clark when the numbers tell a different story? Bueckers' draft night viewership came in at just half of what Clark pulled last year. 1, 3 million versus 2, 6 million viewers. That's stark. Contrast undermines the popular narrative. Both players have impressive credentials, Bueckers with her championship, Clark with her scoring records, but these viewership figures reveal something significant beneath the surface.
But she ain't on Caitlin Clark's level in terms of excitement or accomplishment, and I know they just won a national championship, but she played with two players that are either just as good, and the Sarah Strong was probably better than her or will be better than her.
I'm going to break down what these ratings actually mean, why there's such a disconnection between media narratives and public interest, and let's peel back the layers behind these numbers to reveal the true market dynamics.
There are a lot of stars. There are very, very few.
So the much-anticipated WNBA draft way this week, and Paige Bueckers stepped out with her girlfriend, and let's just say the E-Hour even was a show.
This is probably the most horrible ran draft I've seen in sports history. Like, this was just terrible. The WNBA did a horrible job with this. From one, the marketing was terrible all the way up until the draft itself. It was just bad.
And the numbers are in, and they tell a fascinating story that nobody in the mainstream sports media wants to talk about, while everyone's celebrating Paige Bueckers pulling in 3 million viewers as if it's some kind of triumph for women's basketball. There's a glaring reality being swept under the rug.
Now that number, it can be credited 100% to Paige Bueckers because every other player involved was completely unknown.
3 million might sound impressive until you compare it to the viewership Caitlin Clark generated last year, a staggering 6 million people tuned in. That's double the audience for
year. 2.45 million, peaked with 3.09 million, up 307% from the previous high back in 2004. You guys might be asking, what was the ratings back in 2004? A very curious bunch. I appreciate it. We all want to stay informed, me as well. 601,000 from 2004.
This 50% collapse in viewership represents a clear signal about who actually drives interest in women's basketball. The WNBA and ESPN have been working overtime pushing the narrative. The Bueckers is the new face of the league, but the numbers tell a different story. It's like scheduling a doubleheader with Clark playing the first game and Bueckers the second, then watching half the crowd leave after Clark's performance ends. During the draft broadcast, a reporter awkwardly fumbled players' names during interviews, symbolic of the diminished excitement surrounding this draft class compared to last year's Clark-dominated event clip.
I'm here with Anissa and Rakia, and we are holding it down right now. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead, say your name.
Cheyenne Sellers. I'm so sorry. That is embarrassing. Cheyenne.
Even veteran broadcaster Tim Wilson remarked, "Off-air, I've never seen such a stark difference in energy from one draft to the next. This ratings drop should set off alarm bells throughout the WNBA front office." After all the momentum Caitlin Clark built last season, breaking viewership records, selling out arenas, generating mainstream interest, the question looms, are we watching that momentum evaporate without her dominating the headlines?
Was last year's draft such a big deal? Well, Caitlin Clark was getting drafted. Reason number one, Caitlin Clark getting drafted. Reason number two, why it was such a big deal. Well, Caitlin Clark was going number 1 overall. And the third reason why, calling a spade here, these three women, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink. Perfect storm.
Numbers matter beyond popularity contests. In professional sports, TV ratings directly translate to real-world value, determining advertising rates, influencing sponsorship deals, affecting team valuations, and ultimately impacting player salaries. A 50% viewership drop potentially cost the league millions in revenue opportunities.
It's down 49%. 49% of the audience said, yeah, I'll go watch paint dry instead. In fact, some people, Jason Whitlock, He didn't even realize the WNBA draft took place the other night. He found that out the next morning, that Paige Bueckers and the WNBA draft had actually taken place.
What makes this situation revealing is how much effort the league and ESPN invested in promoting Bueckers for weeks leading up to the draft profile pieces. Feature stories and endless commentary positioned her as women's basketball's brightest star. Yet despite the media machine working at full capacity, viewers simply didn't respond with the same enthusiasm they showed for Clark.
They've been on a campaign for the last 3 years to argue that Paige Bueckers, the UConn star, is actually better than Caitlin Clark.
Social media. Reaction to these ratings has been telling fans immediately recognized what these numbers represent. Concrete evidence that Caitlin Clark remains the biggest draw in women's basketball by far. The viewership data provides undeniable proof of who actually captures the public's imagination. This substantial ratings gap raises serious questions about the WNBA's strategy. Can they sustain Clark's momentum when she's not the central focus? Will financial gains from last year's Clark-driven interest erode if viewership continues to slide? And perhaps most importantly, is the league misreading what its audience actually wants? For all the talk about Bueckers being the next face of women's basketball, these ratings demonstrate that Clark already is the face, and by a considerable margin. When we compare these two stars, one question keeps getting overlooked, which is more impressive, winning a single championship or completely rewriting the NCAA record books. The media spotlight on Bueckers' title has cast a shadow over Clark's unprecedented statistical dominance. She obliterated marks that stood for half a century while doing things no basketball player has ever done before. 7. Yes, Paige Bueckers has that shiny championship trophy, and she absolutely deserves credit for leading UConn to the title, but Caitlin Clark became the all-time NCAA scoring leader by shattering a 50-year-old record, a historic milestone untouched for 5 decades of college basketball. This represents just the beginning of Clark's statistical dominance. Clark led the nation in both scoring and assists in the same season, multiple times, something virtually no other player in NCAA history has accomplished. This achievement represents basketball's ultimate paradox, being simultaneously the best scorer and the best playmaker. It's basketball's equivalent of combining Michael Jordan's scoring prowess with Magic Johnson's playmaking vision. 12. Their final season statistics tell a revealing story. Clark produced 31, 6 points, 8, 9 assists, and 7, 4 rebounds per game, approaching triple-double territory. Bueckers, while excellent, finished with 21, 9 points, 3, 8 assists, and 5, 2 rebounds. The gap becomes apparent. Clark averaged nearly 10 more points per game and more than doubled Bueckers' assist production while grabbing more rebounds. The media's focus on Bueckers' championship banner while minimizing Clark's statistical revolution creates a fundamental imbalance in how these athletes are evaluated. While Bueckers' championship represents a brilliant moment of achievement, Clark's record-breaking career burns like a sustained inferno that transformed the entire landscape of women's basketball.
Whether or not Paige Bueckers is a star or a draw, that remains to be seen. Judging by the ratings for the Dump Diver draft the other night, Paige Bueckers is not a mainstream draw yet.
Caitlin Clark now has 3,528 points in her career. She has officially broken Kelsey Blo's record from 2017.
I've seen Paige Bueckers across social media for the last 5 years, it feels like. She's an elite female college basketball player. Had some knee injuries that she's rebounded from, but she's healthy right now. So she kind of sits behind Caitlin Clark. And I think that makes her a fade for me because I think that Caitlin Clark's shadow is real. I think Caitlin Clark is so dominant and changing.
Notice that the media has been overwhelmingly positive in their coverage of Paige Bueckers. You see, the media is fine with Paige being the face of the WNBA because she's already proven to be a loyal comrade. They can depend on her, maybe even control her. They can't do that with Caitlin Clark, either because she is unwilling or she's realized that she does not need the media to be a mainstream draw. I think this WNBA season is going to be dominated by this media-created rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. I think the media is creating this rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers, hoping that Paige Bueckers will become the new face of the WNBA.
I don't know if you remember how feminine the WNBA draft was. Ladies all dressed up nice and feminine. Clearly, with Paige Bueckers at the top of the draft, they went a different route. She dressed as a little man. Good luck to her.
There's been a lot of speculation this week as to why Paige Bueckers was instantly embraced by the WNBA. Some are claiming that she was accepted because she identifies with the first letter in the identifier alphabet, L.
I think that's why so many WNBA players are going to greet Paige Bueckers with open.
The media will continue demonizing Caitlin Clark while praising her rival. And they're hoping that people will instantly follow Paige Bueckers because she also lacks melanin.